If current trends continue, there will be no globally significant wild areas left on the planet in less than a century, and many species will be driven into extinction. Many people feel overwhelmed by the continuing destruction of wilderness and habitat, but feel helpless to make a difference. This is a story of a group of concerned citizens, including scientists, activists, and artists, who recognize that the extraordinary ecosystem in their region was threatened and who have acted to protect it. In the early 2000s, Genstar Development Company proposed a large housing project at the mouth of the Stave River on Silvermere Island. Dr. Marvin Rosenau, a fisheries biologist and senior fisheries scientist with the BC Ministry of the Environment, examined the environmental impact of this proposal and stated that it constituted one of the most damaging development projects he had ever reviewed, and that this would be the hill to die on because it was worth saving. He did die on that hill. Dr. Rosenau was pulled from the project and his ministry position after Genstar complained to Premier Gordon Campbell.
It's extraordinarily salmonid rich. The 5 Pacific salmon and the 2 Pacific trout were in that area. There is an extremely large chum salmon population in that part, and it's a natural chum population. In addition to that, the federal government has been stocking coho salmon, and the provincial government's stocking cutthroat trout and steelhead. So it's a lovely little fishery. An enormous number of people have found this particular watershed to be, this lower part of the Stave, to be an exceptionally good opportunity to fish for salmon. So it's economically, socially, ecologically, and probably spiritually a really great place. There's a whole host of other organisms that basically depend on the chum. And so Silvermere Island was going to be developed, and it was going to be basically scorched earth. The proposal was to really obliterate this landscape.
The Silvermere Island project did not proceed. Mission's urban reserve is 3 times the size of Stanley Park, 3,400 acres. In 2008, Mission City Council received a proposal from Genstar Development Company to develop the first 440 acres of the reserve with a massive housing development. This is an ecologically sensitive area and is home to at least 113 species, including some species at risk. Mission City Council had to take the proposal to the public through a public hearing process. Dr. Tracy Lyster, a Mission resident and the chair of CAUSE, Citizens Against Urban Sprawl Society, describes her experiences.
CAUSE participated in opposition to this big development. It was extremely frustrating for us when we presented all of the science and all of our concerns to be met with deaf ears. We needed to speak directly to the public, educate them about exactly what was at stake here in Silverdale. And that's when we started to publish the Footprint Press magazine. This has changed the focus of our efforts from one of extreme frustration and futility into one of joy and love and a lot of hope. We get to reach out and meet people at all sorts of events like the Bald Eagle Festival and the Farmers Market. There's no end to people now that want to contribute to the magazine. Their photographs, their art, their poetry, their science, and people are learning about the area in a very positive way. This is my friend Peter Gong, and we are really honored that he's contributed his artwork to the Footprint Press.
When it comes to environmental things, I never really took any action. I don't go to protests and stuff like that. So I thought this would be a way that I could put my 5 cents into the whole mix. So it's my way of stepping up to the plate and doing something. Yeah, I feel real good about contributing art to the magazine.
Well, I think that CAUSE and Footprint Press and groups like it are really important in terms of educating public. It's part of a kind of the counteraction to the bad stuff that's happening here environmentally.
The GenStar proposal did not proceed, primarily because of the financial impacts of the 2008 recession. In January 2018, after a 2-year consultation process with community members, Mission's new official community plan was approved. Environmental protection and parks and recreation amenities were the top priorities for the majority of people providing input to the new plan. In September 2018, in the last month of its 4-year term, City Council decided to fast-track a 40-acre housing development proposal prior to the October municipal election, even though technical reports guiding development of those lands would not be completed until December. City Hall quickly organized a required public hearing for September 19, 2018. The majority of presenters spoke against the proposal.
We've heard tonight about our OCP. We have a comprehensive Silverdale plan that's supposed to be happening before or prior to having our backs against the wall just because a corporation comes along and makes a development application. We must engage with the public here. That's the kind of development planning that we're going to have. I truly hope that our newly elected council will not conduct this kind of business.
Regardless of the significant opposition to the proposal, Council, led by Mayor Randy Hawes, passed the bylaw and paved the way for the new housing development. 1 month later, Mission voters elected a new mayor and 4 new councillors. The greatest challenge the new council faces is to determine what values they will consider most important when making decisions about future development. These decisions will impact the health and well-being of the community for generations.
Environmental management, environmental protection, the management folks, the biologists, the habitat managers, the executive director levels are too weak to be able to resolve this. And until a really strong message and ways of getting rid of bad actors, that's the only way that it's going to happen. And there's always somebody out there that's willing to say black is white. Until that really corrupt framework that we're living in right now in terms of environmental management, environmental protection is dealt with, our kids, our grandkids, and our great-grandkids are going to have absolutely nothing. I have seen the changes in the eastern Fraser Valley and in southwestern British Columbia. We now basically have Fraser River collapse of Sockeye, Pinks, Chinook, Coho, with Chum sort of hanging in there. Steelhead, interior Steelhead have collapsed. Unless we have a way of really taking it to the politicians and the decision makers, we're hooped.
If Mission's new council proceeds with business as usual, as past councils have done, and continues to approve development which does not consider environmental protection as a top priority, Mission's unique ecosystems and its species will eventually be eliminated.